The 1965 Washington quarter is a significant coin in American numismatics due to its role in a major transition in U.S. coinage. This coin marks the beginning of the modern era for quarters, as it was the first year the U.S. Mint produced quarters composed of a clad composition instead of 90% silver. Here, we delve into the history, design, composition, and value of the 1965 Washington quarter. Historical context: the Coinage Act of 1965 removed silver from the circulating United States dimes and quarter-dollar coins. As a result, 1965 silver quarters and 1965 silver dimes are rare finds that could be worth a lot of money. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. This silver composition had been standard for U.S. quarters since their inception in 1796. The Washington quarter design itself was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the Washington quarter quickly became a mainstay in American coinage. 1965 No mint mark quarter value. Even uncirculated pieces are affordable, and you should set aside a modest $5 to $25 for those ranked MS-60 to MS-62. Better graded quarters are slightly more expensive, with a price range from $20 to $50, while those in MS-67 grade are estimated at $580 to $1,036. 1965 quarter price chart: the higher a coin's grade, the higher its value is. The coin with the highest grade, MS-70, has no post-production imperfections at all. These days, 1965 quarters in circulated conditions are only worth up to 85 cents. However, a mint 1965 quarter can be worth as much as $5,250. The Coinage Act of 1965. The Coinage Act of 1965 was a pivotal piece of legislation in U.S. monetary history. Signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 23, 1965, this act authorized the elimination of silver from the dime and quarter and reduced the silver content of the half-dollar. This change was driven by several factors. Silver supply and demand. By the early 1960s, the price of silver had risen due to increased industrial demand and decreased production. The rising value of silver made the intrinsic metal value of silver coins approach or exceed their face value, leading to hoarding and melting of coins for their bullion content. Coin shortages. The U.S. experienced widespread coin shortages in the early 1960s, partly due to the public hoarding silver coins. The Treasury Department had difficulty maintaining sufficient supplies of coins for daily transactions. Economic considerations. Reducing or eliminating silver from coins was seen as a necessary step to stabilize the coinage system and ensure that coins remained in circulation rather than being removed for their metal content. Proof versions of the 1965 quarter were not produced, as the U.S. Mint did not issue proof sets from 1965 to 1967. Instead, the Mint produced special mint sets, SMS, which contain coins with a higher quality finish than regular circulation strikes but not quite the same as traditional proofs. A 1965 SMS quarter in high grade, SP65 or higher, can also be worth more, often in the range of $100 to $1,000 or more, depending on the specific coin's quality. Even uncirculated pieces are affordable, and you should set aside a modest $5 to $25 for those ranked MS-60 to MS-62. Better graded quarters are slightly more expensive, with a price range from $20 to $50, while those in MS-67 grade are estimated at $580 to $1,036. 1965 quarter price chart: the higher a coin's grade, the higher its value is. The coin with the highest grade, MS-70, has no post-production imperfections at all. These days, 1965 quarters in circulated conditions are only worth up to 85 cents. However, a mint 1965 quarter can be worth as much as $5,250. The Coinage Act of 1965, Error coins and varieties. Error coins and varieties can add a significant premium to the value of a 1965 quarter. Some notable errors for this year include: double die obverse, DDO. Coins with doubling on the obverse can be quite valuable, especially if the doubling is prominent. Off-center strikes. Quarters that were struck off-center are collectible and can be worth more than face value, depending on the extent and visual appeal of the error. Clipped planchets. Coins with missing pieces due to clipped planchets are also sought after by collectors. Wrong planchet errors, although very rare. Some 1,965 quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets leftover from 1964. These transitional errors can be worth significantly more due to their rarity and silver content. Clad Composition. Starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint began producing quarters with a clad composition. The 1965 Washington quarter was the first of its kind, composed of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of pure copper. This resulted in a coin with a total composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, and a weight of 5.67 grams. Design. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter remained the same as previous years, featuring John Flanagan portrayal of George Washington. The obverse side depicts a right-facing profile of Washington, with the word Liberty above his head, and the national motto, In God We Trust, to his left. Below Washington's chin, the date, 1965, is inscribed. The reverse side features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with 2 olive branches beneath. Above the eagle, the legend, United States of America, arches around the top, and the denomination, quarter dollar, is inscribed below. The phrase, E pluribus unum, appears between the eagle's wings. Minting and production. The 1965 Washington quarter was minted in large quantities to ensure an adequate supply of the new clad coins and to alleviate the coin shortages of the early 1960s. Unlike previous years, the 1965 quarter does not have a mint mark, as the mint wanted to discourage hoarding based on mint location. This means that all 1965 quarters, regardless of where they were produced, look identical. The absence of a mint mark was a temporary measure. Mint marks resumed on quarters in 1968. Thus, all 1965 quarters were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, although production also took place at the Denver and San Francisco mints without distinguishing mint marks. Collectability and value. Circulated condition. Due to the high mintage and the clad composition, most 1965 quarters found in circulation are worth only their face value of 25 cents. These coins are common and readily available, and their value in circulated condition does not generally exceed face value, except for those in very high grades of preservation. Uncirculated and proof condition. Uncirculated 1965 quarters, especially those with exceptional luster and sharp details, can command higher prices. Coins graded MS-65, Mint State 65, or higher by professional grading services may be worth more, typically ranging from $50 to $200 or more, depending on the grade and appeal. Conclusion. The 1965 Washington quarter is a noteworthy coin in American numismatic history, marking the transition from silver to clad coinage. While most 1965 quarters found in circulation are worth only their face value, uncirculated examples and error coins can be more valuable to collectors. The Coinage Act of 1965 and the economic conditions of the era were pivotal in the decision to change the composition of quarters, reflecting broader trends in U.S. monetary policy and the precious metals market.